Would you stay married if your partner bled from the nose, mouth and ears every night at midnight? When Peter married Nina, he had no idea what he was getting himself into. They looked like the perfect couple on Instagram. Matching outfits, matching smiles, and of course, matching filters. Peter and Nina were Lagos sweethearts. He was tall, dark, successful, and a mama's boy. She was elegant, mysterious, and always had her edges laid to perfection. But inside their expensive Banana Island duplex, things were not as shiny. Oh no! Because every night at exactly 12 a.m., Nina would start bleeding. And I don't mean figuratively. Literal blood from her nose, from her mouth, sometimes even her ears. At first, Peter thought it was a health issue. I mean, bleeding at night? That's not normal, even in Nollywood. So he took her to one of the best doctors in town. Tests, x-rays, scans, everything. But guess what? Nothing. She was perfectly healthy. Peter started keeping a log, and for the whole month, Peter stayed up to watch his wife every single night. Like clockwork, Nina would bleed. This happened only at night because by morning, baby girl was as fresh as puff puff out of hot oil, and the blood, it would disappear. It would be like nothing had happened. At this point, Peter began to think, maybe I married a ghost. And the funny part, Nina never wanted to talk about it. She would say, it's just stress, my love. Lagos wahala. Peter just couldn't believe her. Then their housemate, Blessing, packed her bag one morning and left a note that simply read, sorry sir, I cannot work in a house where madam dies at night and wakes up every morning. My spirit is not strong enough. One night, he pretended to sleep, and by midnight, boom, Nina sat up, eyes wide open like someone pressed start on her remote. Blood began to pour from her nose and her mouth. She walked barefoot to the mirror, stared into it and whispered, I am sorry, I didn't mean to. Please leave me alone. Peter nearly peed on his fine Egyptian cotton sheets. The next morning, Peter asked her casually, babe, did you sleep well? Nina smiled, sipping fresh juice like nothing happened. Like a baby. He wanted to shout, a baby covered in blood, but he kept his cool. Instead, he started going through Nina's things. And guess what he found? A small wooden box. Inside it were dried flowers, a faded photo of a young man in NYSC uniform, and get ready, a blood-stained handkerchief with the name Tochukwu stitched on it. As if the drama wasn't enough, Peter's mother showed up the next day. You know Nigerian mothers, they always just happen to be in the area when you're dying inside, when you really need them the most. She sat down, greeted Nina with a fake smile, and whispered to Peter later, this your wife, she's hiding something. Peter was like, Mommy, please stop being dramatic. But deep down, he was beginning to agree. One afternoon, Nina was asleep on the couch, exhausted from all the midnight bleeding. Peter tiptoed to wake her gently, but before he touched her, she muttered, Tochi, I'm sorry, it wasn't me. I loved you. I swear, I didn't know you would die. Peter froze. Tochi? Who the heck was Tochi? He googled, he searched, he asked around, and guess what? Tochi was her university boyfriend who died mysteriously in 2015 after NYSC. Died how? No one knew. Only that he bled to death. Peter hated it when people gave him incomplete gist. It was like watching an interesting movie and suddenly power goes up right at the exciting part. They got an invite to a family friend's wedding. Peter didn't want to go, but Nina insisted it would distract us. Distract from what? The blood? The ghost boyfriend, a talking in her sleep, Peter doubted that anything could distract him from his recurring nightmare. At the wedding, everything was fine until the photographer snapped a picture of Peter and Nina and showed it to Peter. There, behind Nina in the photo, was a blurry figure of a man in NYSC uniform. No face, no legs, just hovering. The photographer deleted the photo and quickly walked away from Peter. Peter took Nina's hand and dragged her out of the party like she just tried to steal suya. For the rest of the day, Peter was restless. It was night time and sleep was nowhere to be found. Nina came out of the bathroom, drying her face with a towel. He looked at her and asked, "Who is Tochi? And why are you bleeding every night like a ritual sacrifice?" Nina froze. For once, she had no comeback, no excuse, no Lagos stress lie. She just sat down and began to talk. "I didn't kill him," she whispered. "I loved him. But something happened that night at camp. Something I've tried to forget." Peter was stunned, but he didn't interrupt. Then she said something that made his heart jump. "We made a vow. I broke it. Now every night I'm paying for it." Peter looked at her like, eh? So Nina finally opened her mouth and dropped the kind of gist that makes the ear itch. She said it all started during NYSC in Kogi State. You know how NYSC is? Soldiers shouting like you borrow their lungs and mosquitoes that don't respect repellent. That was where she met Tochi, the love of her life. Not Peter, Tochi. Peter was plan B. They were inseparable. If she drank garri, he added sugar. If she cried, he brought zobo. You get the vibe. Then one evening, when the moon was suspiciously bright and the air smelled like trouble, they went to a river near camp and made a vow. Not "I love you" vow. No, more like "if I ever leave you or betray you, may your blood haunt me forever." You see, when love is too sweet, people start misbehaving. Who told them to involve blood and river spirits? After camp, they were posted to different places. Nina went to Ikeja, Tochi went to Ekpe. At first, they kept in touch, love messages, night calls, flashing each other when they had no airtime. Cute stuff. But then, after NYC, Nina got a job in a fancy marketing firm, met new people, discovered shawarma. Life started moving. And Tochi, he just couldn't keep a job. He called one day crying, "Babe, things are hard." And Nina, who was busy at work, casually said, "You'll be fine." That was the last thing she ever told him, because the next week, Tochi died. Mysteriously, he bled out in his apartment. No wounds, no injuries, just blood. When she heard, she fainted. But instead of mourning, she buried the memory like expired egusi, deep, deep down. After the burial, weird things started happening. She would wake up with muddy footprints in her apartment. Her mirror would fog up and write things like, "You promised." One time, she found her pillow soaked with blood, but her nose was dry. She did everything, prayed, fasted, visited 3 different churches and one herbalist that used an iPad, but nothing worked. Then she met Peter, tall, kind, rich, and most importantly, alive. She thought maybe, just maybe, marriage would break the curse. It didn't. Peter stood up after hearing the full confession and said something very Nigerian. "You mean I paid bride price to marry a woman in a blood covenant with the dead? How come this never came up all those months of dating and courting?" Peter had a feeling things were going to get worse. "I didn't know it would follow me. I thought if I moved on, it would end," Nina said, crying. Peter just looked at her. "You broke up with him like MTN ends promo, and now he's sending ghost SMS every midnight. Peter wasn't a spiritual man, but at this point, even atheists would call Jesus. So he did what every firstborn son under pressure would do. He called his mother. Mama Peter returned the next day with one tiny but fiery prophetess that looked like she had just come from Mount Zion. The woman didn't smile once. She walked in, looked at Nina and said, you fed the river with blood and now it wants to drink you whole. Nina almost ran out of her skin. How did the prophetess know? The prophetess brought out a bell, poured anointing oil everywhere, including inside the TV remote, and said, midnight, we will settle this. Midnight came. Peter, Nina, Mama Peter, and the prophetess were in the living room. For the first time in Peter's adult life, he was scared. The generator that was in good condition has suddenly gone bad. No light, just candle. As the clock struck 12 a.m., Nina stood up. Eyes rolled back. She wasn't Nina anymore. She turned to Peter and said in a voice that was two people in one, you took what wasn't yours. She was mine first. Peter nearly ran out of the house. Mama Peter fainted and woke up again with Psalm 91 on her lips. The prophetess didn't flinch. She just faced the spirit head on and said, Tochukwu, your time here has expired. Go back to the place of the dead. Tochukwu laughed, not until she pissed in full. Then Nina's body dropped, cold, lifeless. Everyone screamed, but the prophetess just said, it's not over. She's not gone, but time is running out. That night, Peter had the worst dream of his life. He was back in NYSC camp wearing white shorts, holding Nina's hand by the river and repeating what he had never said before. Then Tochi appeared and pointed at him. You stole my life, my love, my future. Peter woke up in a cold sweat, looked at the clock. It was 12 a.m. He touched his nose. There was blood. The next day, while cleaning up the living room, Peter found something strange behind the couch. A second box. This one had pictures of two men. The men in the two pictures had an uncanny resemblance with Peter, but Peter knew he wasn't the person in the two pictures. Same camp, same badge. Peter dropped the box like it had pepper in it. Wait, what's going on here? He asked himself. He took the photos to Nina, who had just recovered. He said, babe, is there something you're not telling me? Because if you say I'm your dead ex, I'm jumping out of the window. If you're enjoying this story, do click the like button, share this story with a friend, and subscribe to my channel for more intriguing African tales. Back to the story. Nina looked at the picture and laughed. Oh my God, that's not you. Peter blinked. Are you sure? She nodded slowly. That's Tochi's identical twin brother and Tochi. They were separated at birth. I only met him once at the funeral. I just realized how much you look like Tochi and his brother. You look so alike. Peter stared at her like she said he was born on Jupiter. Peter just stared at her. So I'm not a reincarnated boyfriend? She smiled sheepishly. Nope, just a very unfortunate look-alike. Peter sank into the couch like soaked biscuit. Praise God, he said, but the prophetess wasn't done. She came back the next night carrying one wooden box and a bundle of dried leaves. She said, you made a vow to a river spirit. Apparently, when Nina and Tochi made that blood vow by the river, they didn't know the river had a spiritual guardian, and that guardian, one angry, jealous marine spirit named Olama, now wants her share of the love. She bound your soul to his, the prophetess said, and when you left him, the spirit took it personal. That's why every midnight your body pays the price. Peter scratched his head. So this whole thing is spiritual love tax. The prophetess didn't laugh. If you want to leave, you must go and break the vow properly. So the next morning, they packed small Ghana must go bags, wore white, and followed the prophetess to Kogi State. Nina hadn't been back there since NYSC. The second she stepped out of the car, goosebumps attacked her like angry bees. They reached the river at sunset. As they stood at the river bank, the prophetess began to chant. Peter just stood far away, like, let me not mistakenly collect spiritual slap meant for someone else. Nina stepped into the water slowly. The prophetess threw a small calabash into the river and shouted, Spirit of the river, take back your vow. Let this woman go free. Her death is paid. Suddenly, the water bubbled like Coke after Mentos. Then it stilled. And for the first time in months, no blood, no whisper, no touchy, just silence. The curse had been broken. Back in Lagos, Nina finally slept through the night without bleeding like an action movie. Peter slowly stopped jumping every time the clock struck midnight. Mama Peter went back home and told everyone she delivered her son's wife from Marine Kingdom with her prayers, even though she fainted twice. And the prophetess, she dropped her account number and said, God bless you, sow into grace. They did with joy. 1 week later, Peter and Nina sat in their living room, sipping tea and watching the world. Peter looked at her and said, so, if you ever feel like bleeding again, just tell me early. I'll go stay at my brother's house. Peter said jokingly. Nina laughed. Never again. I've officially retired from spiritual vows and dramatic exes. Peter raised his mug. To boring, peaceful marriages. Nina raised hers too. And to never falling in love by any river ever again. They clicked mugs. And for the first time since they said I do, both of them smiled without fear. They went on to have a beautiful, peaceful home. Nina gave birth to 3 beautiful children. Before you say I do, make sure your partner's past isn't still bleeding into their present. Now, my people, be honest. If your partner starts bleeding by midnight, would you stay or run? Drop your answer in the comments. Subscribe, share, and hit the like button. It has been an honor and a privilege spending this time with you. Click on this playlist on the screen to enjoy more intriguing African tales by me. See you there.